Well, hello there, everyone. I am Reggie Rivers, and I'm a host with the Gala team, and I'm excited to be here for Growing Homes Strengthen, Nurture, Connect virtual benefit. And we're so glad that you have decided to join us. This is a whole new thing, this whole virtual thing, and we're excited to step into this new chapter. Just a moment ago, I suggested that you find a quiet place in your home, away from the screaming kids and away from the barking dogs. And then it occurred to me, maybe that place doesn't exist in your home. In which case, we welcome your screaming kids and your barking dogs. Please, they're free to make as much noise as they need to make tonight to express themselves properly. We're just glad that you're here with us. So, social distancing might stop us from giving pats on the back and hugs and handshakes, but it's not going to stop us from showing love and support for Growing Home, because this organization is doing tremendous work. Now, before we get too far down the road, I want to give you a piece of technology advice. It can be difficult to watch the show and donate during the virtual paddle raiser if you're trying to do it all on one device. So we recommend that you watch the program on your laptop or desktop and you donate using your cell phone or tablet. And we also encourage you to get involved and chat with us. Send us a message on the chat. We'll be posting things throughout the program, answering questions, posting instructions, posting up other messages. And we'd love to hear from you. Please tell us where you are, who you're watching with, and how many screaming children you have in your lap right now. All right, let's dig in here. I'm excited to welcome three guests from Growing Home. These ladies represent various aspects of the organization's mission, and each of them plays a very important role. The first of which is CEO Karen Fox Elwell, Growing Home CEO. How are you, Karen?
Hi, Reggie. I'm doing great tonight. I'm so excited to be here. And I know we had about 140 people pre-register with us for this event. And I know many of them are joining with friends and families. And it just really warms my heart to know that so many people care so much about our mission and our work. So I'm really excited to see what tonight brings.
Well, that's wonderful. And I'm excited to have a conversation with you a little bit later about what Growing Home does, and everybody can get a little bit of education. So thank you, Karen. We'll talk to you again shortly. Next up, we have Miss Bev Bishop, who is the board chair at Growing Home. Hello there, Bev. How are you?
Hi, Reggie. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You're looking lovely as always.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, good. Well, I know that a little bit later on, you're going to be sharing with us some of your perspectives on how COVID-19 has impacted the organization.
Yes.
Okay, well, we will look forward to that, Bev. Okay, well, we'll talk to you again in just a few minutes. And finally, our third guest from the organization is Dolores Ramirez. She's the Chief Program and Impact Officer at Growing Home. Hello there, Dolores.
Hi, Reggie. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm equally excited and just really looking forward to a great evening. Getting a opportunity to share about the great work that we do here at Growing Home.
Well, that's wonderful. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your interviews with these adorable little kids about their time capsule project. I think everyone is going to love those videos.
Oh, absolutely. We're in for a treat, for sure.
Yes. All right. Dolores, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again in just a few minutes. All right. Let me give everybody a quick update on our agenda for the evening. So here's our plan for the night. First, we're going to explain why we're hosting this virtual benefit. Second, we'll share how you can participate and make a contribution tonight. Third, as I mentioned, we'll interview Karen and get a better understanding of what Growing Home does and why it's so important to support them right now. Fourth, we'll conduct a virtual paddle raiser so you can all get involved. Fifth, we'll have a discussion with Bev about the impact of COVID-19 on Growing Home's community. And then we'll chat with Dolores about the 2020 COVID-19 time capsule project, which is adorable. And finally, we will celebrate and wrap things up. So there's something that each of you can do right now, in fact, that doesn't cost a penny, but it will make a big difference. I want you to lean forward on Facebook and click the share button and share this live broadcast with your network, with your family, with your friends, with the people that you care about. And the reason we ask you to do that, and it's a very simple thing, you care about Growing Home. You're here tonight because you care about this organization. it's possible that people in your network would also care about it if they knew about it. Maybe they've never been to the gala for or the breakfast or the lunch for Growing Home. Maybe they never knew what you were doing with Growing Home, and now here's an opportunity for them to discover that, oh, this is something that's important to you, and you've shared it to your network, and maybe they'll tune in and watch tonight. Maybe they'll learn a little bit about Growing Home and its mission. Maybe they'll learn about the impact and be inspired by it, and maybe they'll want to become volunteers or donors with Growing Home. And all you had to do was click the share button on Facebook. So if all of you would do that, we would so appreciate it. You really help to grow the network for Growing Home. All right, so we want to catch everybody up to speed on why we're here, why we're in this virtual setting, because the coronavirus has forced nonprofits all over the country to make decisions about what they're going to do. Should they cancel, postpone, or otherwise abandon their galas and their lunches and their breakfasts and the events that they hold to raise the money that they need to raise? Well, the board and the staff at Growing Home had to make a big decision. Would they postpone, not knowing when they would be able to hold the event, how long this COVID situation was going to last? Would they cancel their 2020 event and just say, well, we're not going to do that fundraising? And what they decided was that postponing was too risky because it was too uncertain, and canceling was too devastating to the Growing Home mission. So they said, no, we've got to do something. We've got to go virtual. So here we are. And here all of you are. You've made it, Growing Home, a priority tonight. And we so appreciate you being here to support them this evening. All right, second item on our agenda is to make sure you know how you can make a difference for Growing Home. You can do it by personally investing in the community change. You can strengthen your community tomorrow by signing up to volunteer. Or you can brighten the future by asking your friends and family to join in. So if you want to donate, text Growing Home to 44321. 44321. That's an easy number to remember. Or you can go to growinghome.org/VB2020 to learn more. But if you just text on your cell phone Growing Home to 44321, you'll get a link. It's super easy to get yourself signed up. For all you Android users like myself, when you text to that number, it's possible that you'll see a pop-up question pop up saying, hey, there could be texting charges. I don't think there will be, but it pops up. You have to accept that, and then you'll get the link, and it's super simple. All right. Support of Growing Home is what brought you here tonight. And in that vein, I want to give a special shout out to some organizations who have been supporting Growing Home for a long time, and we appreciate them especially tonight. This pandemic has dramatically shifted the worlds of our sponsors. Right? Some of these sponsors are facing the crisis head on. They are caring for those who are falling ill. They are addressing the affordable housing crunch. And so we want to give them a big round of applause for going above and beyond the role of the traditional sponsor and really embodying the Growing Home mission. So please, can we start with a round of applause for all of our sponsors? And I want to give a big shout out to our premier sponsor, St. Anthony's North Health Campus. This is part of the Centura Health System. They've been a proud sponsor for the 2020 Growing Home virtual event. The program's goals and objectives of what they say is the programs, the goals, and the objectives of the Growing Home organization align perfectly with the community health priority areas identified by St. Anthony North Health Campus. The focus on food insecurity, housing instability, and mental health aligns with this organization. And so that's why they are a sponsor, and we appreciate their commitment and support. We also want to recognize premier sponsor Del West Management. Now, this is a leading residential real estate developer in Denver, and they provide superior end-to-end property management services to humanely and economically address the growing needs for stable, secure, and affordable housing. We're honored to partner. This is what they said about this. We are honored to partner with Growing Home to enable the delivery of exceptional support and services to residents at our Baker School Apartments complex in West Denver. So thank you so much, Del West Management, for being a premier sponsor. Okay, and is at this time I get to invite my good friend Karen Fox Elwell back onto the screen. She's the CEO of Growing Home, and Karen, if for those who are joining in, I mean, many of these people they know Growing Home already, but we've got some in the audience who are just learning about it. Can you tell us a little bit about what Growing Home does?
Yeah, definitely, Reggie. So, for the past 22 years, we've been working towards our vision at Growing Home of our entire community working together to ensure that kids and their families have a place to call home, food on the table, and the opportunities to pursue their dreams. And so, at Growing Home, we work with over 2,000 families each year, and we focus in two key areas of building and strengthening strong and resilient families and thriving and equitable communities. And the work we do fills a critical gap for families that are experiencing immediate and long-term barriers to stability and success.
Okay, that's wonderful. 2,000 families a year. That's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. And you say thriving communities and equitable communities at the same time. Those sound like they can be two tough things to work on at the same time.
Yeah, so really both thriving and equitable communities, while at the same time really focusing on strong and resilient families. So we really do take this a- um, approach to how we do our mission and really focusing both at the family level as well as the community level as a whole. And so all of our work at Growing Home focuses on strengthening families, nurturing children, and connecting community. And really at that thriving and equitable community, we're really looking at bringing a cross section of our community into our mission and working towards sustainable change in our communities.
That's wonderful. You and I have had conversations before, and you've described the two-generation approach. And I think that it is, it's not obvious, but as soon as you explain it, it's like, well, of course, why wouldn't that be the approach?
Yeah. So it's really important to take a two-generation approach because we know that while supporting the parents is essential, it's really about getting those kids onto the path to a brighter future is really important. So as I mentioned before, we have these three areas of work. Our Strengthening Families programs are really about basic needs supports for families. And we know that those programs are essential. They fill some of the here and now gaps, but really that two-generation approach of nurturing children is about providing parents with those tools to have success for their kids in the future and get that next generation onto the path to a brighter future.
That's great. All right. So you guys have been doing this for quite a while. You said that you're serving 2,000 families a year, but this is a year unlike other years. I would imagine that the demand for your services has gone up dramatically this year.
Yeah, it has skyrocketed exponentially, Reggie. Prior to COVID, many of our families in our community were already facing instability. And so 1 in 4 families in Adams County didn't even have $400 in savings and checking accounts. And many of those families were the first ones to be impacted by the furloughs, the reduction in hours, and the layoffs. And so we have seen an exponential increase in demand. For instance, prior to COVID in our food pantry, we would see about 10 to 25 households in a given day. And right now we're seeing 50 to 100 households every day, 6 days a week.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. Okay. Well, then that kind of leads to my final question for you. This is a fundraiser tonight. We have an audience of people that we're asking to support you. How will you use the money that you raise tonight?
Yeah, so the money is going to go in direct support of that increased need that we're seeing right now. It'll be used to move our mission forward and ensure that families are able to keep a roof over their head, to keep food on the table, and that kids and their families have the connection to resources and the support that they need to move forward and thrive.
That's wonderful. Okay. Well, Karen, thank you so much. We appreciate this insight into what you guys do, why it's so important right now, and how impactful it is. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you. Okay. So, Growing Home's mission is big and the community is heavily involved. We have a video that will help us understand the impact that Growing Home is having on families in our community. Selena, let's roll that video.
we are dedicated to creating a thriving and equitable North Metro area, one family at a time. The reason that we're so vital in the community is this dual approach to both working with families on helping to provide stability and success and resiliency, while also helping them to gain the skills and experiences and tools that they need in order to advance their own success.
Growing Home ofrece varios programas. Pienso que uno de los más grandes es el banco de comida. Muchas familias, y sobre todo este año por la situación que estamos pasando, necesitan mucha ayuda.
We are trying to alleviate food scarcity and end hunger, but we're also providing items that are not necessarily food related. We provide almost everything we can give, from masks to dog food and cat food, diapers, baby wipes, hygiene items.
It really is about bringing together folks from diverse backgrounds, all to share in the responsibility of solving complex social challenges connected to Growing Home's mission.
We treat people as if they were in a store. We treat them with a great deal of respect, and I think that makes a difference whether they come back or not.
And so volunteerism plays a key role in that, of connecting one part of the community with our traditional families that are coming to Growing Home as service recipients.
It's not just feeling that, well, I'm doing something good for somebody else. It's more that I'm working together with other people, trying to do something good for everybody.
Living in a world like we have, with no savings, every single one of these families is one, including my own. Let me just say, including my own, we are very much in a similar situation in life, that we are all one paycheck away, or one lack of a paycheck away, from eviction or foreclosure and from homelessness. And that reality, it's very important to see that that can happen to any of us.
Growing Home, I think, does an excellent job on really having not just like the food pantry, but other programs that help out really stabilizing the family, like our Parents as Teachers program, our coaching program. So really trying to help them in not just one way, but in every aspect of their lives.
Growing Home has an incredible approach to ensuring that community members are not just service recipients, but that they're valued, that their voice is heard, and that they're able to bring their passions and bring their talents and give back to our community.
It helps you to develop yourself better on all perspectives. Coming out to yourself, like showing people you can do things and you can help people.
I feel strongly for families who struggle to meet their everyday needs. And that's, your housing, your food. And until those basic needs are met, they can't focus on education or, other things in their life. So I believe that organizations like Growing Home can help provide that solid foundation so that they can focus on things like their child's development. Basically, the Parents as Teachers model is designed to go in and work with the family as a whole. We work with the parents so that they can work with their child on an everyday basis.
Well, Olga, she's such a beautiful person inside and out. It's like even if we don't have contact every day or once a week, every time we see each other, we always have that feeling right here, that you were always there for me.
I still am.
Para mí, ¿qué es Growing Home?
Growing Home is my second home.
Growing Home is my home away from home.
Mi casa. Es mi segunda casa. Es mi segunda familia.
Growing Home is here not because there's problems in our community, but Growing Home is here because we are a community. And life is about coming together and connecting to solve our mutual challenges.
Wow. That was wonderful and very moving. And that was well said there right at the end, that last quote. I really like that. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the time in our program when we can all get involved for Growing Home. Alone, any one of us can only do so much, but together as a team, we can make a big impact on Growing Home and the families that they support. And so we hope that all of you will get involved, and want to remind you of how to participate. We're going to ask for support at different levels, and we hope that each of you will make a contribution at least once tonight when you hear a level that matches your means and matches your commitment. And it's super easy to do. You just text Growing Home to the number 44321, and you'll get a link, and click on that link, and it's super easy to make a contribution. You can also visit the growinghome.org website /VB, which is for Virtual Benefit 2020. So growinghome.org/VB 2020 to get more information if you wanted to. Okay. Now, before we start on our levels, I want to remind everyone of two things. One, and Selena, let's go ahead and put this slide down now. Here it is. Yes. Number one, I am a former Denver Bronco. I am not a tax advisor. In fact, the fact that I am a former Denver Bronco probably makes me less qualified to do any advising about anything. So you should not take any tax advice from me. However, I do want to tell you about the Enterprise Tax Credit. So Growing Home is a certified enterprise tax credit organization. That means that any donation that you make tonight will get a 25% tax credit on your Colorado taxes. Now, that's not a deduction. That is a credit, a 25% tax credit on your state taxes. If you donated $1,000, that means it's only going to cost you $750 out of pocket. Now, of course, there's the federal side of it. You still get to write off the whole $1,000 on the federal, and you get the deduction for that. So it's more than just the 25%. But I'm not going to talk about that because I am not a tax advisor. I'm a former football player. Do you know how many times I've been hit? Don't take tax advice from me. What you should do, here's what I recommend. Donate generously tonight. Donate whatever you were thinking about donating. Add a little bit to it because you know about this tax credit, and then consult with your tax advisor later. Okay, can we do that? That's great. Okay, let's second, every donation this year is also qualifies. There's some other benefits because of COVID, but again, I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not going to get into all of that, but talk to your accountant about that. Okay, Growing Home, if you text the phrase Growing Home to 44321, it's going to be super easy. You can make a donation. And we're going to start our paddle raiser by asking for donations at the $5,000 level. And I'm going to ask my Miss Karen to come on out here. And Karen, as people are thinking about whether they could make a contribution of $5,000, can you tell us what that would mean for your organization?
Yeah, a $5,000 contribution to us helps keep 2 families stably housed through our homelessness prevention program at Growing Home. So for instance, early on in the pandemic, we had a single mom with 2 young children that came and started working with us in this program because her hours had been reduced at work. And she was finding it hard to make ends meet to pay her rent each month. And so she started working with one of our coaches on some goals around family stabilization. And she graduated from the program, not only with the resources to be able to pay her rent each month, but she was actually able to save up $4,000 in savings during the course of her time in the program. And that's the type of impact that your contribution at this level can make.
That is amazing. And so that speaks to what you mentioned earlier, that you focus not just on the acute needs, which obviously there's some urgent needs that have to be addressed, but you're doing it in a way that allows them to get on their feet and be prepared for the next emergency that comes along. That's incredible. All right, so let's show our leaderboard, Selena, and see where we are right now in terms of donations. We've had donations coming in since we started our program. And so we've raised $21,508 so far. You can see that we've set a big goal out there of $95,000. 91 people so far have made contributions, and we appreciate all of you. Again, if you haven't yet made a donation, please text the phrase Going Home to 44321. It's super easy to do. And we're going to step down a level to $2,500. And I see on our board here that we have the Sisters of Charity of Cincinnati have made a $2,000 gift. So thank you, sisters. We appreciate that. And I want to ask you, Karen, what does a $2,500 gift mean for your organization?
Yeah, so a $2,500 gift at Growing Home pays for nearly a year of home visits in our Parents as Teachers program. And we know that due to the rigorous research and evaluation that goes into this program, that the children that are participating in this program, they're hitting their developmental milestones and entering kindergarten on par with their more affluent peers. And during COVID in particular, this program and our parent educators, they've been a lifeline of support to families, connecting them to resources and providing tools and tricks to keep kids continuing to thrive and grow.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that's so interesting that these programs are helping these kids enter kindergarten on par with their peers, because we know that one of the disparities of our education system is that certain groups of people fall behind even before it starts. And once you're behind, it's really hard to catch up. And so we appreciate all that you do. So please keep those donations coming in. Let's move down another level to $1,000. And I want to ask, what does $1,000 do for Growing Home?
Yeah, so first, this level, $1,000 is a really interesting amount for us to take a moment to talk about, because many of us in our community received actually near this amount from our stimulus checks earlier in the pandemic. And during this time, we actually had a few supporters who reached out to us and said that they were interested in contributing their stimulus checks to Growing Home because they knew that it could go farther at Growing Home. And they were right. In this, $1,000 can stock our food pantry for a month and feed nearly 400 families and provide supplemental supports and food for them. And one historical story that I like to tell from prior to the pandemic that some of those watching today might be familiar with from prior times of hearing, but such an impactful story, I have to share it tonight, Reggie, and I think you really need to hear it.
Of course.
So there was a mom who had come shopping in our food pantry pre-COVID, and following her shopping experience, she was walking out with her young son, and her son just started ravaging through the bag and pulled out this bright and red juicy apple and just started devouring it. And the mom turned to our volunteer who was on site that day and said, this morning, I didn't have enough food in my pantry to feed all of my kids this morning. And so I opted to feed my two daughters who were going to school because I knew that would help them to be able to focus in their morning classes. And I knew my son was coming today and would be able to get food in our food pantry visits. And I don't know about you, Reggie, but I can't believe and imagine having to be in that situation to decide which of my children to feed that morning. And that is the type of support that $1,000 can contribute at Growing Home.
That is an amazing story. We have an anonymous donor here at $1,000. So thank you. We appreciate that gift. And just to, as a parent, to think about that, to think that I have to tell one of my children, you can't eat, you've got to watch them eat, but also that mother had enough confidence about Growing Home and what she was going to find when she got there to the food pantry, that she could confidently tell her son, I promise you, I'm going to get you some food. And that's a heartbreaking story. I can't imagine being in that situation. Okay, let's move to $500. And I want to say thank you to Bill Gonzalez for his gift of $500. And we also have an anonymous gift at $500 as well. Thank you to both of you. Karen, what does $500 mean for Growing Home?
Yeah, so $500 provides valuable support for our seedlings parenting classes. And these classes focus on the impacts that toxic stress can have in the development of young children, and focuses on the key role that parents can play in buffering that toxic stress for children. And I can attest as a mom of a young child how stressful COVID has been and how challenging it's been to figure out how to provide that nurturing environment and how to buffer my son from that stress. And so many of our prior seedlings families have told me about the opportunities they've had to really apply those skills that they learned in the seedlings classes and to use those activities and to really think about how during this time of unprecedented stress that they're creating that nurturing environment for their kids. And so with the gift of $500, that would allow us to continue to offer these classes in the future.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So please keep your donations coming in. If you haven't done so already, you can text the phrase growing home to the number 44321 and you'll get a link back. And it's easy to make a contribution. Please join in the fundraising here. We're going to move down to $250. I want to say thank you to Carol Rickman at $250. Thank you to Michelle Bettis at $250. And yeah, when I see the name Bettis, I immediately think of Jerome Bettis, the famed Steelers running back. You guys aren't thinking about that. Anyway, Karen, at $250, what does this gift mean for Growing Home?
Yeah, so $250 for Growing Home helps provide leadership development to some of our community leaders who are involved in our community organizing work so that they have the skills to advocate for community level change. So last fall, an example of this was we had heard at Growing Home of an affordable housing complex that was being planned for our community, but was receiving some pushback and was really facing a hurdle in being able to move forward. And so we talked with our community and they of course said, yes, we want to advocate for more affordable housing in our community. We know how important it is. We've benefited ourselves. And so we held an educational workshop to educate them around affordable housing and how to advocate at the city council level. And we all went and packed the city council room and advocated about the valuable impacts and the need for more affordable housing in our community. And so because of that work and the leadership development that our leaders received, there are now 220 units of more affordable housing that are being constructed in our community. And that's the type of impacts that this type of gift can have.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And I think that people are hearing you. We have a donation here at $2,500. C. Michael Litzow. Thank you so much, Mr. Litzow. We appreciate your generosity. At $1,000, we have Ann Trebesh. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you so much, Ann. We appreciate that gift. At $500, Robert and Susan Waller. Thank you for your generous donations. At $250, I think I mentioned Carol Rickman and Michelle Bettis. Thank you very much for your gifts. And we're going to step down one more level. Actually, let's look at our leaderboard again real quick, Selena. Let's take a look at where we are now in our fundraising effort. And so we're at $27,342. So we've set a big goal out there of $95,000, and we're hoping to put a big dent in it tonight. You know, we don't have to raise all of that tonight, but we're trying to put as big a dent in that number as we can. And we appreciate your generous support and commitment to this organization. And so we're going to step down one more level to $100. And again, if you want to make a donation, text Growing Home to the number 44321. Growing Home to 44321. And Karen, what would $100 mean for Growing Home?
Yeah, so Reggie, $100 for Growing Home provides valuable support for our community garden. And this is one of the projects that is community led by many of our participants. And they actually advocated to the mayor and to city council about the desire to have a more established and larger permanent community garden for them. And so this year they were able to harvest that garden for the first time, and we're able to grow over 550 pounds of produce. And a significant portion of that was actually donated back to Growing Home's food pantry to be distributed to the community. And this is just one example of how Growing Home is by the community and for the community. And a gift of $100 will help us continue that incredible work.
Okay, that's wonderful. And while you were talking, Leah Brown just donated $1,500. Thank you very much, Leah. We appreciate you. And at the $100 level, I'm sorry, at the $250 level, Kathleen Droza, or Drozda, thank you, Kathleen Drozda. And
so if I can, so Kathleen is actually the founder of Growing Home. So did want to just highlight her. And I've also heard a number of names of our board members, Mary Ellen Litsu, Michelle Bettis, and Bill Gonzalez, and a few of our other board and committee members, and just really wanted to express my deep appreciation to all of those engaged with Growing Home, but especially our board of directors and founder.
That is wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they've already all done so much, and they continue to double down and continue to make contributions. We appreciate that. Carly Seba also has made a donation at $100, and we have an anonymous gift at $100 as well. Let's take one final look at our dashboard right now, our leaderboard, before we move into our next section. And just so we're creeping up on $30,000 right now. So keep those donations coming, please. Keep being generous, keep donating. This will stay open for a while here. We're going to continue our program, but we will check back on our donations here in just a little bit, and we will read off more names of people who have given gifts, but we appreciate all of your support. Please keep those dollars coming in. And thank you. I see Joan and Thomas LaRose right there at $400. Thank you. We appreciate that gift. Kathy and William Marquez, thank you for your $500 gift. All right, so Karen, thank you so much for these insights into Growing Home and how you guys do the things that you do.
Thank you, Reggie.
You bet. Okay, so Karen, that's Karen, and now we get a chance to talk to Bev, who is on the board. She's the board chair, and Bev Bishop. Hello there, Miss Bev. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing very well tonight. Thank you.
Good, thank you. So you've been on the board for a while. You've been in Westminster for a long time, I think 37 years. And have you been with this organization about 7 years? Is that right?
Yes, that's about right, give or take.
Okay, well, great. So tell us about some of the changes that you've seen since COVID-19 has hit.
Sure. I started volunteering by picking up food once a week at Sprouts, and then I moved inside the food pantry where I used to volunteer about 2 or 3 times a week. And for several years I did that, and I got to know all the people around here, the staff, and many of the people who came in to shop with us on a regular basis. So that was really nice. And the rest of the volunteers, a lot of them were older retired people like me. And so that was one of the concerns that came about when the pandemic hit. Concern for people's health and safety was the first big driver of changes that I've seen here at Growing Home. And the people in the greater risk categories, which of course included us older folks, we were kind of encouraged not to come in on a regular basis with our volunteer shifts. So we right away saw a huge decrease in the number of volunteers that were able to come. And that made a big difference. But the Growing Home staff really stepped up and really quickly changed procedures. And so we kind of shifted the whole thing from the shopping inside the food pantry model to a drive-through model, which was a lot safer way of doing things, of course. But at the same time, we saw the volume pick up so much. And as Karen had said, it was just so much busier, like from an average of like 20, 25 people. Now we're up to 50 to 100 or so different carloads of or family members that are coming. And so this increase in numbers at the same time, the number of volunteers was going down. It was pretty overwhelming right at the first.
So with all of that happening, how was Growing Home able to overcome it? And actually, before you answer that, I just want to point out, Dave Rogers just made a gift of $1,000. Thank you so much, Dave. We appreciate that. So, but how was Growing Home able to overcome that?
Well, actually, that's where the importance of the community connections comes in, and partnerships come into play. And we were very fortunate that we were able to work with the city of Westminster, and thank goodness for all the help that they have given us. We were able to use one of their rec centers, which is just a few blocks away from the Growing Home offices here, and we use that for food storage and also kind of a staging center for getting the boxes of food items ready. So that helped a lot. And then also they provided a truck which they used then to haul all of the boxes of food and everything over to Growing Home offices a few blocks away. We were able then to distribute that to the cars as they lined up to come through. And they did that every morning for us. And not only that, but the place, the people, and the truck and everything, they actually took some of the city workers and reassigned them for a time period to actually work at Growing Home in the food pantry. So that's really marvelous.
That is wonderful. So there is a lot of support from a lot of different areas. I want to mention at $500, Carmen Atalano, another board member, has made a gift tonight. Thank you so much, Carmen. We appreciate that. And I wanted to point out Vivian Smithers, Ginger Case, and Alex Worry, all at $100. Thank you for your generous gifts. That's wonderful. All right. So support sounds, is so important. And working in the food pantry as a volunteer, you must have many experiences that you've seen that, can you share something with us that kind of demonstrates the impact and what it's like for these families who are trying to overcome these challenges?
Sure. There's probably more stories than I have time to tell, but anyway, it is a very different environment around here now with the pandemic in full force and moving to the drive-through model. But the times that I am able to work out there, I do manage to see a few familiar faces, and it's really nice to be able to see them, say hi and chat for a minute. I did get to see one older woman in particular that I remembered who has her daughter and her grandchildren living with her. And that makes a total of 9 people in her home. So they came before COVID times, and I continue to see them come through now too. And I'm sure they need it even more now. Another woman who used to come inside the food pantry to shop had several children of her own, some in school, some at home, and plus she also had taken in her sister's kids because her sister had died, and so she had all of her children living with them then too. And so all total, she has 13 kids in her household that she's responsible for taking care of and feeding. So I don't know how anybody manages to do that. And I'm sure that the food that she receives at Growing Home is a big, big help to them. But as far as who really gets the work done around here, I tell you, it's the community members, the program participants, many of whom you saw the pictures of in the video. It's those folks, many of whom are on our program advisory committee is what we call it. And those folks are here all the time helping and doing, if not out there working on the food pantry distribution line, they're doing projects and supporting programs in so many ways. They are just really the rock stars of the Growing Home community. They're continually able to rise up above their own problems because, obviously they came here wanting some resources or help. And so they not only are able to work through those, but they're able to help each other out. And while they're here doing it, they do it with a smile on their face, and they're very welcoming to everybody, and we're able to make friends and connect with each other at a whole different level.
That is wonderful. And what I hear listening to you, listening to Karen, it's just about strength and resiliency and creativity and problem solving, and just this absolute certainty that Growing Home knows where you're aiming for. You know where you're going. Like if you got an address set in your GPS, and it doesn't matter what detours you hit, what storms hit you, you guys stay focused. And the volunteers that you're telling us about, they sound like amazing people.
Oh, they are. They really are.
Yeah.
As I said, they're the rock stars. They're this core group of community members who they continue to show up, and they do more than their fair share, even though, like I said before, a lot of them have their own very critical problems within their own families, but they keep coming back. They're just amazing. One more story to share, if
okay, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so this goes back in the pre-COVID days when we were still doing the food pantry inside food shopping model. And it was one of those days when it wasn't quite that busy. And so there was a little downtime, and I was kind of chit-chatting with one of my fellow volunteers there. And we've always been working together on Wednesday mornings. And he's also a part of the community member and now the program advisory committee. Anyway, we were talking about how the work was going and so forth. And the topic of having to lift and carry those heavy produce boxes, which are very heavy. Of course, you wouldn't have a problem with that, I don't imagine. But, anyway, that topic came up, and I said that I really can't do that kind of work anymore because I had a hernia repair surgery back a while ago, and I just couldn't do it. And then we started talking about various and sundry health situations, like a lot of people do. And anyway, so then he shared with me that because of his situation with having diabetes, some kidney problems, and not only that, having to be on dialysis several days a week, that prevents him from doing a lot of heavy lifting or anything like that. And in fact, it's that or those serious health conditions of his that were what had put their family in the situation of needing Growing Home's services and resources to begin with. And yet, here they were, he and his wife, and a lot of times their kids show up too, the whole family, still helping out at the food pantry as often as possible because they want to give back. They've been helped and they want to give back to other people. So I think that's what makes Growing Home so special to me, because people want to help each other and give back, and at the same time they want to be friends and they want to have fun together and connect. And we have been connected through Growing Home, and we continue to work and we continue to learn together how to make our community survive, and not just survive, but to thrive.
That is wonderful. Bev, I appreciate your sharing these stories because you are on the front lines. You are seeing the families come in. You're seeing these families turn into volunteers for the organization. And your stories really illuminate the reality that Growing Home is a community. It's not these people over here are just giving to those people over there. It is right. These people over here are helping these people over here grow into the next phase of their lives and the next step up. And then those people are now reaching back to help the next group of people do the same thing. It's really a rewarding and inspiring story, group of stories. Thank you so much. You bet. Okay, so we're going to move from Bev now to Dolores. And Dolores is, Dolores, I lost Dolores Ramirez. I flipped the page of my script and I can't remember your title now.
No worries. My title is the Chief Program and Impact Officer here at Growing Home.
Okay, that's right. I'm glad that you know it. So, so tell us about this Parents as Teachers program this year.
Absolutely. So, Parents as Teachers, or what we call our PAT program, is a now virtual home visitation program that helps parents acquire the skills and the resources that they need to ensure that their children and future generations are in the path to a brighter future. And the way we do this, the way we carry out this program is essentially by connecting caregivers with a parent educator who then provides them with access to resources and activities that spur children's cognitive and healthy social development by way of activities. So parent educator will do a virtual visit and will guide the parent in how to carry out an activity with their child.
Wow, that sounds like what all we parents need right now in COVID with our kids being
It's
at
such a
home and
great
we're trying to teach them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great program.
If ever we had a doubt about how valuable teachers are, I think we're all understanding it now. So there's this other program. I know what a time capsule is, and I think most of us know what a time capsule is. But there is now this time capsule program for kids under 5, and just those two things together just sounds adorable. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great activity. So Reggie, just like many of us today are constantly trying to process our daily lives, what's going on amidst this public health crisis, it is also critically important that we help our little ones do the same, to figure out what's happening around us, that this ever-changing environment. And so what you'll see next in the video that we're about to bring on is a parent educator actually helping a little one facilitate that process. I'll let the video speak for itself.
Okay.
Hola, ok, Zaira. Entonces, ¿qué nos estás enseñando el día de hoy? ¿Qué hiciste?
Hacerlo el tiempo.
Wow, ¿y qué colores usaste?
Café y azul y verde.
¿Y lo verde qué quiere decir?
Coronavirus.
El coronavirus. ¿Y qué haces tú para ayudarte a protegerte?
Una mascarilla y lavarse las manos.
Uy, muy bien, nos lavamos las manos. ¿Y qué sigue?
Mi libro favorito que me regaló mi maestra.
¿Y cómo se llama? ¿Sabes cómo se llama tu libro?
Sí, de la rana.
El de la rana. Wow, muy bien.
Y me gusta estar en la casa con mi mamá.
¿Sí? ¿La quieres mucho a tu mami?
Sí.
Sí.
Me gusta hacer gelatinas con mi mamá.
Sí, ¿y qué es tu gelatina favorita?
La fresa.
Qué rico, ¿verdad? Las fresas. A mí también me gusta la de fresa.
Aquí está la mano de mamá.
Muy bien.
Los que vemos que papá no está y los que vimos que papá está trabajando.
Uy, tu papi está trabajando, pero yo sé que le van a hacer la manita a papá también, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Muy bien, Zaira. Un abrazo de mi parte también.
Bien, gracias. Gracias.
Oh, qué preciosa. That is so adorable. Wow. And so that really hits home. And I think that these are unprecedented times, especially for our youngest citizens and our youngest members and our families. And it's wonderful to see that Growing Home is doing all of this to help provide a healthy outlet for those kids. And, you know, Dolores, thank you so much for sharing. And before you leave, I wanted to share with you, I lived in Costa Rica a few years ago to learn Spanish. and I lived with my host mother who spoke really fast Spanish, and I wrote her a very short Spanish rap song. Can I sing it to you?
Oh, please do.
Okay, here it goes. Tu boca está moviendo. Te escucho, pero no entiendo. Necesitas hablar más despacio, con palabras más fácil y básico. Thank you. Thank you. So for all of the non-Spanish speakers in the audience, what that my song is, your mouth is moving, but I don't understand what you're saying. You've got to slow down and use easier words. Dolores, thank you so much.
I like it.
Appreciate it. Okay, so we are coming toward the end of our program, but before we go, let's get an update on our fundraising. And I do see that we have an anonymous gift of $2,500 here that has come in. We have Quinn Waller, who donated $1,000. Thank you, Quinn. We have, what other here? Chris Tagaji. Thank you very much for your gift as well. And so I want to invite Miranda to come out here, Miranda, and give us an update on our fundraising so far this evening.
Thank you, Reggie. I'm very excited to announce we're just under $40,000, which means we're halfway to our goal. So thank you all tonight for everything that you have given. I want to remind you that this fundraiser is not over. We will continue on with this fundraiser throughout this weekend and for an extended period of time. We will be releasing the broadcast of this event tonight for everyone to be able to share with your networks, as well as to be able to continue doing your fundraising pages. So let's keep going and let's make sure that we hit that goal, and we'll have plenty of time to do so.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you, Miranda. That is great news. We didn't think that we would be able to raise the whole $95,000 tonight, but we thought we can get a great kickstart to this program. And now this is going to extend for a little while. And Karen, I'd like to invite you back. Karen, you know, that I think tonight has been wonderful. I've personally learned a lot about Growing Home and the impact that you have, but wanted to hear your thoughts about this evening's event and the fundraising.
Yeah, I'm just blown away by everybody's support. And on behalf of our entire crew here at Growing Home, our staff, our board, and most importantly, our community, I just want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be with us tonight and contributing and helping to support us and moving our mission forward. I think as the program really showed today, working together, we can achieve great things and our communities are stronger. And it really takes all of us coming together. So just thank you so much for everyone for being here tonight and giving generously.
Thank you, Karen. That is very well said. And again, thank you to everybody on behalf of everyone at Growing Home, on behalf of their volunteers, their staff, on behalf of the families that they serve, the children that they serve. I want to say thank you as well. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for being here tonight. Everybody, have a wonderful rest of your evening. We appreciate you.